What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Investing Bros live show. Man, it feels like it has been so long since the last one because we pretty much took off all of last week. And I wasn't even able to be on last Tuesdays due to some stuff I had to deal with. But it's good to be back. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. If you're watching this live or you're watching it back later, hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Go ahead and drop in the comments what you did to celebrate. And if you're not an American, what did you do last week? Just watch a bunch of foreign crypto? I don't know. You didn't watch Investing Bros, and it's sad. But we're back, and we got an interesting guest going to be joining us today. We're going to be talking a lot today. There's some news. We're going to look at some charts, but we're going to talk a lot about the future. We're going to talk about adoption coming into crypto, and I'm really glad to have a guest on today. Dr. Adam Lowe is going to be joining us from Arculus. He's the man that actually created Arculus, something I think is going to play a key factor into bringing people not only into crypto just to invest in crypto, but something that all of us are very passionate about. If you've been in crypto for a minute, you know the phrase, not your keys, not your crypto. Well, unless there's a simple and easy way for people to create their own keys and to store their own crypto their own way, it's actually going to be a deterrent to a lot of people to get into the crypto space. And I do believe Arculus is one of the projects that will kind of help lower that barrier of entry to crypto people having their own keys. But we're going to bring him on a little later on the show. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mr. T Shroom, from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T Shroom, how are we feeling today?
Well, Tim, I'm feeling...
Oh, that's a black face right there. That's a black screen.
Tim, I'm doing better than I deserve, my man. I'm doing better than I deserve, for sure. Absolutely, yeah, definitely. And as you can imagine, making some last-minute adjustments here. But yeah, doing well. How are you? I got a quote here. A good friend is like a four-leaf clover, hard to find, but lucky to have. So that's really good.
Well, to be fair, from Florida and Georgia, we never find four-leaf clover, so it's easier to find a friend, but it's still good. Friends are a good, trusted friend is hard to find. That's why I'm so glad I found you, T Shroom.
Wow,
you're like a four-leaf clover of a friend.
That's really nice, Tim. I appreciate that. I really do.
Real quick, before we jump into crypto stuff, and again, our guest he'll join us here in probably a couple of minutes. What was the best part of your Thanksgiving break, T Shroom? What was the most fun thing you got to do?
You know, getting to throw the pigskin around with my cousins and my dad. You know, you don't get to do that as much, and it's really nice to do that. And I gotta say, I still got it. I still got the old arm, and I can still catch. Still got the hands.
What stopped you from going pro?
Crypto. I just knew crypto was my future.
Passion. You had a different passion.
Exactly.
Than the old pigskin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, getting to spend time with family was fun. We were down there in North Florida. Did not come to see you because we were still like probably 2.5 hours away from you.
All good.
But I got my first deer. I have hunted hogs before. I've hunted turkeys. But I don't know why. I've never hunted deer before, but I got my first deer. Posted a picture of it over in the Discord. You guys got to go over and be in our free Discord. You get some cool crypto tips, crypto conversation, and also some random pictures of hunted deer. He was a good one. He was good size. He's going to feed me for about a year, I think, is the expectation at this point.
A year?
Well, I mean, it's going to be like 80 pounds of meat. I might get through it sooner than a year. I mean, I probably will. If I ate as much meat as I used to, I'd get through it in probably about 3 months. But now, you know, I've toned it back a little bit, trying to spend less money on eating, trying to save up for this bull run.
Right.
So, you know, going halvesies on the meat, you know, not doing as much.
Absolutely. Super cool.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. Before we bring in our guest again, he's going to join. Let me know when he comes in here. I know he's getting off another show. He's going to be joining in here. Let's go ahead and look at some charts here. We're going to start off with some charts. Guys, we're looking at Bitcoin today. A little bit of a fall today. We're moving back down. It got really exciting here, guys. Black Friday. We went ahead and set a new high for the year, coming all the way up here above 38,000. Close to 38.5, at least on Coinbase. Let's see what the overall consensus was. Overall, We got to about we got pretty high here, 38,431. Okay, never mind. What else was I looking at? The low, I guess, was that same day, 37.7. Yeah, so didn't quite crack the 38.5. I'm certain that some exchange hit 38.5, but as a whole, Coinbase and others did not quite get there. But today we started a little bit of a downward trajectory. But here's the thing, guys, we haven't even touched the support level of this rising channel. I will say, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know. I for anyone who's like been saying now for over a week, Tim, this is no longer a bull flag. Oh, looks like we had a little ring there. This is so people are saying this is no longer a bull flag. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. That's a little bit too long of a flag for us to call this a bull flag anymore. Does not mean we can't move to the upside and get above 40,000. But when you're looking at this green line here and we're talking about a potential prediction of a bull flag breakout, I'm going to go ahead and agree, guys. That's just too long of a flag for my taste. I don't think that's going to play out. Does not mean, though, that we can't hit 50,000. It just won't necessarily be from a bull flag pattern. What we are seeing, though, again, I'm going to continue to keep my eyes on these lines right here. You can see this white line, this solid white line has been very strong support since all the way back here on October 24th. But then there's even this dotted line that has kind of worked as like a bear trap type of play. We're going to go and we're going to do some more TA here in just a little bit, but it does look like Adam has joined us. So let's go ahead and introduce him. Dr. Adam Lowe. First of all, how are you doing? I know I've gotten to speak to you all day, but for all of our listeners out there, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. It's been really great to show up and talk crypto all day and be in the industry with friends. It's great.
No, it's been fantastic to get to meet you and host. For those of you who don't know, he is here in Atlanta visiting the HIT Network. He was on Discover Crypto this morning. He was just on Blockchain Basement. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both those channels. But we're super happy to have you on here, Adam. I want to say, I didn't tell you the story. My first exposure to Arculus, it was back in the Bitcoin conference of 2022 down in Miami. I'd never heard of you guys before, but I think you guys were like a major sponsor of the conference and you guys were giving out free wallets. Well, being newer to crypto, but also recently learning about a lot of scams, I was just like, oh, this company's just giving out free wallets. They can't be that good. I'm not going to get this and have all the money stolen. Well, one of my buddies got it, ended up being a fantastic wallet. And then even just watching him, how easy it was for him to access it, I immediately fell in love. Have myself an Arculus wallet. So I'm excited for our listeners to get to hear more from you, get to hear more about the product. How did it come to fruition? Let's start right there. For those who don't know, tell us a little bit, what is Arculus? How did you come up with the concept of this style of a cold wallet? And tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Sure. So Arculus is this guy.
Cool.
And actually, it's funny. A lot of people at that same Bitcoin show, that was their first exposure to Arculus. And the show did a bad job of communicating the value of the product because we actually didn't give them away, right? The show bought 30,000 or whatever it was.
No, they didn't tell us that. Yeah.
And then they handed them out like they were socks or something at the show. And it's this thing that's, valued at $100 retail. So the show actually did a disservice by just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever, here you go. And they had paid for all of them. Yeah. But anyway, so I've been in the payment space for about 10 years. So I work with a company called CompoSecure that owns Arculus. And we've produced metal payment cards for some of the largest banks around the world, government IDs. So I have a deep background in payments and security. And so I did the tech for those cards, make tap to pay work in metal and some of the software and all of that magic that's, when you go in a Starbucks or wherever and you tap to pay, you don't have to think about it. It just works. So we did that in metal cards and had a big personal interest in crypto, personal interest in self-sovereignty, and thought, I can add elliptic curve to this thing. So we took that same type of chip and secure software that secures payment cards and passports and things like that, added elliptic curve tech to generate, store, manage your keys. And now it's this easy to use hardware wallet. Everybody knows how to tap a card that manages your keys on pretty much every chain of relevance.
It's crazy, Adam, because that right there it's part of even what when the person who was giving out was explaining it to us, I was like, that's too simple. Like that was part of why I thought it was a little bit of a scam, because it was like, oh, cold wallets, they're known to be complicated, they're hard to set up. It takes, I would say, if you don't at least sit down and probably dedicate 15 to 30 minutes of your time to setting up your cold wallets when you get them from other companies, you're going to fool yourself. You're just going to be there for a minute. You're going to have to figure everything out. You're going to have to watch a bunch of tutorials. So when they told us, they were like, yeah, just scan it on your phone. It's pretty much a 2-3 minute setup. I was like, that's too easy. That's too simple and wouldn't sound secure. But it turns out Arculus, not only is it probably the easiest cold wallet to sign up, it's maybe one of the most secure. Can you tell us a little bit more about the security of an Arculus wallet? Why should people trust that simplicity over maybe like a ledger, like that takes 15, 30 minutes to set up, and then actually you don't even know if you can really trust them now because they can backdoor your information. Not going to get into those details because this is about Arculus, but tell us why Arculus is so secure.
Sure. So Arculus uses the same type of technology that secures over 15 billion payment cards around the world that have never been penetrated and never hacked. Arculus also uses 3FA, so 3 factors of security that are independent that keeps your keys safe. So the first is something you have, which is your unique Arculus card synced to your phone. The second is something you know, which is a PIN managed on the card. And the third is your biometric, so something that you are. So those 3 independent factors keep your crypto safe. I could hand you my phone and my Arculus card. You don't look like me and you don't know my PIN. So your crypto stays safe.
Yeah. And I think it's just so simple and so easy. It's nice. I saw Crimson Caravan Company just comment. He literally, as you were commenting it, he just knew the slogan already. Something you have, something you know, something you are. I like that little trifecta of a saying to get it going. And I think it's really cool because, Adam, like I said, kind of introducing you and kind of introducing the topic, there's a big barrier. There's a big barrier right now in crypto. I want to get your take on it because obviously you're an innovator in the space. You're tackling things from the innovation standpoint. How are you thinking to address the limitations and the barriers that a lot of people are having right now to get into crypto? So, I mean, crypto's already kind of a foreign concept, but I think people are warming up to that. But it's a whole nother state. It's one thing to buy crypto. And we're about to see that get really easy for even traditional finance people through ETFs and other ways they can do it through their bank stuff. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to get into the self-storage, the cold storage. What are you looking at with your team to tackle the barriers to allow more people to get in? What's your kind of thought process there?
Sure. So I think, quick onboarding, quick ease of use, and just fundamental simplicity are paramount. So we've really focused on that. We've really also focused on if you're going to make that leap from just buying an ETF or using centralized custody where you're just trying to buy and trade an asset, which is great. That's where a lot of people start. If you want to go into self-custody, you have the assets, which means you have a lot more ability to do things with them. So that's why we add features like Wallet Connect. That's why we integrate on our B2B side of our business with a lot of payments partners to really enable you to do more things with your funds because, there's a number of DeFi possibilities that you can do with your assets that are not possible in centralized exchanges. So having that kind of Swiss Army knife after you get that really easy onboarding, I think is critical to growing self-custody and self-sovereignty in the space.
Yeah.
Super cool. Well, speaking of the Swiss Army knife, I'm T Shroom. We have never met, but it's nice to meet you. We usually on this show we have a factoid of the day.
That's true. I forgot. We were going to introduce stuff for that. Yeah, we still have time. I have lots of other questions for Adam, so we got some time.
So really quickly, the factoid of today, which is essentially trivia, for those who might be new to the factoid of the day, is what other country besides El Salvador has made Bitcoin legal tender? Is it Switzerland, South Africa, Zimbabwe, or the Central African Republic? You guys can go ahead and tell me, and I'll make sure to highlight it here, and then we will cover the answer in just a few minutes.
Towards the end, yeah. So, I'll let you start, Adam. What do you have? I usually win these, but I have lost a couple of them.
And I can flash the answers if you need again the reference.
Yeah. Let's see. What are the countries again? I'm usually pretty good if it was math. I think I'd rather do the math question. But all right, it's not Switzerland. No. I really don't think it's South Africa. It's either Zimbabwe.
I'm pretty sure it's Central African Republic. I think I've seen some memes recently about Central African Republic in crypto. So I'm going to choose D. I'm going to choose D, Central African Republic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the two.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember hearing any Zimbabwe.
I don't think I have either.
Excellent. Well, I butted in there with the factoid of the day, so we can commence our regularly scheduled questions here. Talking about the future of currency, but we will come back and see what the answer to that question is towards the end of the video.
I'm gonna settle on Central African Republic because I
Yeah.
can't remember any Zimbabwe news.
We'll rock together, Adam.
Okay.
Real quick before we continue, everybody, let me know in the comments down below. Put a 1 in chat if you guys already own or have ever owned an Arculus wallet. Put a number 2 if you guys are looking for a new cold wallet. I can tell you guys right now, I have tried a lot of them. I've had a couple of them. I don't like any of them unless there's Arculus. And I'm going to put this in the description after the show. We'll put it in chat here in a second too. Maybe Tisham, you can add this. If you guys go to their website and use the code IB20, you guys can get 20% off of an Arculus wallet. If you guys are looking for one, heavily recommended. Again, like we've been talking about, probably the easiest. And I say probably it's because I don't know every single wallet that's out there. But if what I've seen, the easiest wallet to set up, a secure wallet, like he said, there have been no hacks, there's been no chaos. They do not. I'll ask Adam this. Adam, do you guys in your technology, do you give information to governments that if the government were to ask you to close down somebody's wallet, could you go in there and do that?
No, by design, we are physically incapable of doing that. We have no knowledge. Well, one, we have no access to your keys, period. And second, by design, we have no way to associate a person with an account or an address. So I don't know that Adam is 0xFF, blah, 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 right? Like, so by design, I don't know, I can't match an account to a person, and I have zero access to your keys. So no matter what someone does to me or the company, there's no way that we can provide them information about your crypto. I saw some stuff in the chat. I think the most important thing on other platforms that do have this is they have publicly stated, even prior to some of the backup services, that they were able to, under subpoena, provide your keys to federal governments. So ask you to do your own research. It's out there.
Yep. Yeah, and we're not going to pretend like there's no other good cold wallets out there. Adam wouldn't tell you that. Again, talking with him today, it's not like Arculus is the only good wallet out there. But again, when you combine the security factors with the simple setup and transactions, to me, it's definitely up there. If it's not number one, it'd be hard pressed to find one that's better than it. But let's do this a little bit, because I saw a question from chat from Bedridden, one of our members and our mods. I'm going to ask you that question. I also want to ask you a little bit more about Arculus to begin with, because I think the founding of even the name and the way you thought through it was really cool. But Bedridden asks, how old is the Arculus wallet? So how long has it been around? Like what year did you guys launch?
We're around. Let's see, January, I think, will be 3 years. So around 3 years ago. When we started, it was Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, Litecoin, I think, and a bunch of ERC20s. And since then, we've added up to 90-something% market cap of the chain, hardware signing for MetaMask, staking, custom contracts, all sorts of stuff. So, really excited about that. Pick your favorite EVM. You can manually type in the name and add it, or you can actually scan the QR code off Etherscan or whatever and import the contract. So yeah, we try to make it as utilitarian yet easy as possible.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, we have a couple other crypto trades comes in here. He says, can you store all ERC20 tokens on it?
So all ERC20s, yeah, effectively you can. So basically, to try to keep it as simple for everyone as possible, we didn't want to list every single ERC20 token, right? From the top rank to scam coins, we didn't want to list everything. So we have kind of a curated list to start, but then you go into add, and then there's a button that lets you import whatever you want. So you add that contract address, and boom, that ERC20 will come in. Because you have the keys, right, on the card. It can sign for anything. It's just about what's showing up in the wallet on your phone.
Very cool. Bedridden asked another question. He said, "How many users do you guys have?" So, how many wallets have you guys sold in your existence now?
Yeah, so we're publicly traded, and we haven't said, so I can't say publicly facing things that the CEO hasn't said. But many users. You also have to remember that this gets white labeled for people. So we do a lot of B2B business in the same way on our payment side. We do B2B business with Chase, or Amex, et cetera. So, it's also been white labeled. So we have quite a few white labeled users, I would say, as well as our existing retail base, which is pretty big.
Awesome. Yeah, well, let's do this. So there's going to be more questions, guys. If you guys have questions for Dr. Adam, let me know. Dr. Lowe, he's going to be here for us a couple more minutes. I know he's got to prep. He's going to be on ATB tonight, so we're going to make sure we don't keep him too long so he can prep for that. But Let's talk about the name Arculus. Maybe some of you guys have heard about it. I didn't, even though I've heard of this wallet now for a long time, I had never heard this story. So, yeah, Adam, you were the creator of it. Was it you that came up with the name, and what does the name mean? Why did you guys stick with the name Arculus?
Sure. So Arculus is the Roman god of safes and strong boxes. I'm a big history buff. I think you can find a lot of knowledge and learnings in history so that we don't have to learn it all over again. And then we came up with the Guardian, right? So that centurion-looking fellow there is the Guardian that keeps your assets safe. So kind of the ethos around that is that strong individual, that person that you can be to keep self-sovereignty, to keep control of your funds, keep personal choice in your life, and take control of your destiny. So that's kind of the ethos of the brand and where the brand identity came from.
Boom. I love it. And again, the symbol, you guys can kind of see it on my hat. There's also, we go to the website. Let's see if it has a bigger version. Go ahead and go. Well, I'm trying to, I did not have the thing up already. You guys can see it up in the top corner right here, but it's really small right there as well. But I like the design, the way you guys did your branding. Oh, really super cool. There was a question earlier. Someone asked, how much does it cost? This is an affordable one, guys. Right there, free 2-day FedEx shipping, $99. Of course, you guys, if you use IB20, you get that 20% off. I'm not the best mathematician. I am sure that Adam is 1,000 times better at math than me, but this is the type of math that I can do. That means you're going to be able to get it for about $80. Cool discount right there too, 25% military discount. So anyone who's in the military, you get even more discounts right there. That right there, if you guys have never purchased a cold wallet, some of you might be saying, wow, a wallet for $99. Guys, that's a good price for cold wallets. And if you value your privacy, if you value your security, that's a very, very, very good price. Keeps you from having to trust the banks with your hard-earned value. Let's before we move on, I want to make sure, T-Shroom, if you have any questions about the wallet, I want to ask Adam some questions just about crypto in general. He can't give us price analysis or try to predict any prices, but I want to talk about the market and what he sees, because he's been in crypto very much longer than we have. He's been here. He's not just someone who entered the space to create a product to make a bunch of money. He has been a crypto guy now. I heard him say earlier today, since 2013,
wow.
He's been invested in cryptocurrency. So he's been around the block a couple of times. T-Shirt, any questions you have about the wallet before we move on?
Well, do you kind of have do you feel like you have your finger on the pulse of crypto in some sense? Because I know that you have probably access to several layers of data in terms of on-chain analytics of folks coming online with Bitcoin and moving on and off, in and out of cold wallets. Is that something that because we talk about on-chain data a lot when it comes into the news, is that something that you pay attention to a lot? And do you have any kind of edge or any kind of any unique insights that you've seen in the on-chain data world?
Yeah, so the nodes are set up such that, Arculus or Arculus employees or anybody else doesn't have access to any proprietary data or trading data. We don't make any money trading off data from our own nodes. So I would say in that sense, I don't have any edge. I certainly wish I did for trading purposes, but I don't. But I think being in the space for a while and being in B2B, I think certainly from a market segment, very bullish, because it's not just speculation this time around, right? So I see a lot of real use case, real big players in industry entering the market on the enterprise side, institutional side, and real use case on the EVM side for payments and remittance and tokenization of things. It's funny, you see article after article of real world tokenization of real assets. And guys, we've been talking about this for years. Like, this isn't, I'm glad you just discovered it, but this has been around for a while. So I'm very bullish because the industry is really maturing, right? The 8-bit cats are going away, and we're doing real use cases and solving problems for real people.
What was that you said, the 8-bed cats?
Oh, it's just a joke. I said the 8-bit cats are going away, right? Like, people would put up an 8-bit art picture and be like, this is worth $5 million.
Gotcha.
Okay, sure.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Tim, why don't you go ahead and dive into some of those questions that you had?
Yeah, well, let's do this. Just to make sure that we get the answer to it. Let's go ahead and get the answer to the trivia question.
Sure.
Let's see if Adam and I were right, and then we'll dive into some crypto, just overall market stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let me walk you guys through this. So, If you go to the CoinMarketCap website, which I'm sure hopefully you all are all familiar with, you go to legal tender countries. There's a whole bunch of unique data on here, but you can see countries with crypto as legal tender. And ladies and gentlemen, you both got it right. Central African Republic and El Salvador, obviously, there as well. So we have a lot of fun on the Investing Bros, and we like to provide a little education as well.
Well, this is the value of memes. I'm telling you, the reason I'm pretty sure I was right about it was I saw a meme that had like El Salvador and then Central African Republic like playing with a Bitcoin, and it was like an Argentinian kid like looking from the outside, and it was like someday soon or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was my little, you can learn things from memes.
It's interesting you say that, Tim, because on this very same website, there's a predictive thing where I don't know how scientifically accurate it is, but predict your country and a region to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Paraguay and Venezuela are next up, but it's all
but they've been on that list for a while. There's been rumors about them since El Salvador. Had
so it's all by a poll, so it's not like official. Anybody can go in there and vote a million times if they want. So it's not really all that represent. I don't give it much credence. So but it's a little fun.
Well, good stuff. It's good to be back on the winning end. And Adam, he has a perfect record on the show with trivia questions. So he is the leader so far. But let's kind of change here because, Arculus, great wall, something I think is going to be a big factor in adoption coming. My personal belief is that this might be, it should be the largest bull market for adoption. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of institutional adoption, but I think even the regular everyday person will never see the same number of people maybe before or even ever again in one, good bull cycle happen again. First of all, do you agree, disagree with that phrase, Adam? And what are you seeing kind of play out from your side of it? What are your kind of, you can't give any price predictions or anything, but what are your expectations for the next 2 years as we're getting the ETFs for Bitcoin, probably even Ethereum and other coins coming soon, as we see a lot of these altcoins not just be theories that platforms working, but they're actually creating real world applications that people can use to better their financial situations. The technology that we're using is using blockchain a lot. What are you seeing in the next 2 years in the crypto landscape as a whole?
Sure. So I see, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, the continued increase in utility of platforms. So, Bitcoin is its own wonderful animal. But ETH and the EVMs and some of the other chains, Stellar, Solana, you're going to see more and more utility. So just given the space I'm in payments and remittance and large cap markets, you can see just extreme use cases there of faster, cheaper, better, and that always wins in free markets. And it's just really amazing to see the infrastructure plays and the rails that we have laid for the last few years being used. You saw headlines of, Visa settling on VisaNet and Solana USDC for the first time, and, just more and more things there. I do think looking a little farther out, there's going to be more consolidation because we probably, in all reality, have a few more networks than we need. But nobody knows who the winner is going to be. And people are already making plays for chain interoperability so that it makes the most sense for everyone. So I'm really excited to just, I guess that's a long way of saying, see the infrastructure come to fruition, and that's going to drive more utility and more liquidity, and that means more values for the assets that we all hold.
Yeah. Now, do you think that, again, one of the things I said, and I've seen other people share this opinion, I'm interested what your thought is. I've seen a lot of people say that this is going to be probably the biggest bull market. Maybe not in terms of, Bitcoin and Ethereum doing like another 1,000x or anything. That would be pretty unlikely. But in terms of the trillions of dollars that will come in this bull market versus future, I've kind of heard the expectation is like this will be the largest, but then it'll be more of a slower but sure trickle. Like we'll still see prices go up in future bull markets, but we might not see the same explosion amongst Bitcoin and maybe some of the larger altcoins. Do you agree with that take? Do you see the next couple of bull markets being very bullish? What are your thoughts, anticipation of that kind of move when you're looking at investment opportunities now?
Yeah, it seems like a reasonable thesis. I mean, you're only going to have the ETFs come in and institutional investments. It's only going to start one time, right? So it would be very hard for all of that assets volume to be overcome on a future event. Like you said, there should be some price ups and downs, but there should be a very significant influx of capital, if we're all correct, into the space. So it would be hard to see beating that again from a pure volume, pure dollars perspective.
Yeah, I think so. Now, something we were talking about earlier today, I'm interested for you to go maybe into a little more depth about. We were talking about stable coins. So right now, there's more often than not, there's probably going to be something. If we look at the 4-year cycle, there's always something pre-halving that we've had a good run up. We have these big rallies, but then we see reduction in price 50, 60%. A lot of people are still anticipating a good pullback for Bitcoin, for altcoins, but there's going to be something they blame it on. There's going to be some sort of a catalyst. And at this point, what I've looked at, I don't think that they're going to actually have anything bad happen to stablecoins, but I have a feeling that there's going to be FUD thrown out there that potentially stablecoins are dangerous. And the way we were talking about it earlier, I think we were eating lunch. You were talking about how actually, if anyone knows what crypto is and knows what stablecoins are, there's no better friend to backing up the US dollar support than stablecoins. What are your thoughts about the next couple of months, years of what stablecoins look like? What do you think the regulation is going to look like? Do you think we're going to have maybe a FUD scenario come very soon with heavy regulation that could potentially hinder stablecoins? What is your thoughts about that in general? And maybe, for everyone who wasn't at the lunch table today, you guys are missing out. Tell us a little more about why stablecoins are so amazing, even for the US dollar.
Sure. So I've given a few talks about this here and there in podcasts. I'm pretty kind of passionate about it. So the dollar, right? The US dollar is a product like anything. So like the iPhone, right? Like it's an important product that comes out of America is the US dollar. You can see that in the petrodollar and how the dollar is priced and how oil is priced in dollars. It's a very important international product. Most FX is traded in terms of dollars. So if you're in Thai baht, you usually have to, and you wanted to say, go to the Indian rupee, you wouldn't trade directly. You would trade Thai baht for dollars, dollars for rupees. And it's just an extremely important product that we export around the world. And the reason that stablecoins are so important is that it makes those dollars more liquid, faster, easier to use. It's much easier to be dollarized in stablecoins in somewhere like Vietnam than it is actual dollars. You don't have to get to the Fed. So, it improves the dollar. Stablecoins are like the Marshall Plan for the US dollar, and we should be driving and wanting as much demand for the dollar as Americans as we can. So most of our assets are still dollar backed. So it just makes absolute sense to push stablecoins. And I think legislation coming out of the US will validate that. So I think they'll have certain restrictions on ramps and off ramps and KYC AML and OFAC and all those lovely things. But I think the government will come down into, okay, if it is a true dollar backed, not algorithmic stablecoin, and you meet these sort of banking requirements, then great, rock on, go have a digital dollar. And then we don't have to deal with a CBDC because the government really doesn't want to deal with that. So I think that's kind of my thesis on stablecoins and why they're so important and could add GDP points to the economy.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely true. And I'm really hoping the education amongst the government officials that get to make these decisions, they come around, they realize, don't push technology. This is the future of this planet. Don't push this technology out of the country. If there's one good way to end the U.S. Power over the world right now, which we couldn't do it by ourselves, but I would still say it's the largest presence amongst the world. If you want to give that up, the one good way to do that is to push cryptocurrency technology out of the country. But if they enable and they incorporate it, America could remain a global superpower for certain. T-shirt. I'm going to let Adam go here in just a couple of minutes because he's been talking now for like an hour and a half straight. I'm sure he wants to rest. He's about to talk for another like 40 minutes here in a couple of minutes on ATP. So we're going to let him get some rest in between shows. But I have a couple closing out questions for him. But I want to make sure if you have anything you want to chime in here, give you a chance.
No, I'm loving it. You're locked and loaded with some great questions as usual, Tim.
All right. Well, Adam, you're going to have to tell me what you can answer and can't answer him. I'm going to try to stretch. Okay. You can't give us price predictions. You can't give us price action. Could you tell us, like, are you allowed to say like your 5 favorite coins, or is that something you can't say?
No, I can say that. I'll preface it with, I don't know if these are going to go up. I don't know if these are going to go down. Whatever. Right. So a lot of this interest comes technically, as we've had to implement them for the wallet and use them and get on dexes and see how it works. I think it's really interesting. So I'll give you roughly 5. These are mostly L1s or chains, not individual tokens.
Okay.
So one would be kind of the Cosmos Osmosis ecosystem. It's a blockchain of blockchains. It's really interesting. So I'm very big into interoperability. You can very quickly reach a lot of things. So if you're fans here want to look at something like Moon River, it's a great way to get from one way to another and use wormhole contracts to do cross-chain bridging. So kind of the Cosmos ecosystem built on Tendermint, that's one. It's just technically very cool. So I don't, again, if the price is going to go up or down or God knows, but it's technically very interesting.
Okay.
Two similar. So if that's Coke, the Pepsi to that would be Polkadot. Their parachain system is very cool, has a lot of utility, has a lot of makes it very easy to use and implement very good documents. So I know that's a little boring, but it's a really cool chain where you can set up your own keys. You can make your own parachain. It's a very cool chain for that.
Okay.
Third would be Stellar. So it has very, very, very quick payments. So again, coming from that space, very cheap rates. If you want to do something like remittance or push funds all around the world, Stellar is a great chain to do that.
Yeah, that's I'll pause you there. That's one, everyone likes to talk about XRP. Of course, Stellar is, very similar, created by one of the co-founders. So that's interesting you say that. We've had a lot of people in our community be very bullish on Stellar. When I gave my portfolio, I don't think I had Stellar, and I think, when I hear someone as intelligent as Adam saying this is one of his favorite projects, it makes me rethink where it sits in my portfolio. So I'm gonna have to go back and address that. But that's great. Okay, so that was 3 of them. All right. What are the last 2 that you're really excited about? And I'm sure you like more than this. We're giving you top 5. You gotta stop somewhere.
It's tough to pare it down. I think there's 3 non-EVMs.
Yeah.
I'll have to do at least one EVM. So probably Avalanche is really a fan. So the 3-chain system is very efficient. They also have very, very good devs there. One project, if you want to see proof of that, is they're working with JP Morgan Onyx and Provenance on their interchain interoperability program. That's very cool if people want to check that out. So that's number 4. And number 5, I'm kind of debating on which one to name here. I would probably go... I haven't done raw speed yet. Yeah, so we could say Solana. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's broken on occasion, if we're honest, but we're all broken on occasion. So Solana is a lot of fun. There's some newer ones like Sui out there and a few other things that are just as fast, but they really have the right spirit. They're trying to build for NFTs, they're trying to build for payments, they're trying to build for a lot of things. They're doing some great work with USDC and Circle as well. So I think all of those are great projects. It's really hard for me to come down to 5. So.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Well, I'm going to last thing I'm going to do, kind of a speed round. And I want to make sure that everyone understands. He's not going to answer if he thinks that the project's not good or not. I'm just going to ask you if the project is overhyped, correctly hyped, or underhyped, meaning it's just way better than people even give it credit for. Number 1, this might be the hottest crypto right now. Everyone's talking about it. It came from nowhere over the last couple of months. Some people saw it coming, but most of us are just catching up to it now. What are your thoughts on Caspa? Is it overhyped, adequately hyped, or underhyped?
Yeah, I'd seen it coming for a little bit. I'd say adequately hyped. I think it's fair. Maybe adequate to slightly over.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to say that it's underhyped. I mean, it's got the most amount of hype at the moment. Yeah. Okay. Chainlink. Obviously, Chainlink been really hot here recently. What are your thoughts about Chainlink?
I think this might be a weird take. I think Chainlink is underhyped. The amount of tech you can get out of Chainlink is amazing. I have no idea on price, but the actual pure technical capabilities of Chainlink and Chainlink Labs is amazing. I love Chainlink.
Okay, I got 2 more. We're going to start one. This one, our community's been actually talking about this one a lot more today. Pyth, Pyth, Pyth. What are your thoughts on Pyth?
I'll admit, I haven't caught up on Pyth yet. I know the community's talking a lot about that one. I'm going to have to pass on that one just because I don't feel like I am educated enough to give you a good answer.
All right.
Which means you're early.
Yeah, that is good. If he doesn't know much about it, it's very early. Yeah. Last one, a fan favorite, one of my favorites. I'm trying to not make it in my portfolio as much as I love it in my heart. I'm trying to be, smart with my investments. But Cardano, overhyped, adequately hyped, underhyped. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think it is probably adequately hyped. So
Okay.
I mean, it's amazing. UTXO system is great. It's very efficient when you get into it. I mean, I've talked to Charles before. It's really interesting. Somebody asked in chat about Moonbeam. I'll give them a freebie. I love Moonbeam.
There you go.
So underhyped on Moonbeam.
Okay.
So Cardano, yeah, I think is fairly hyped.
Very, very cool. Well, Adam, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. Go get like a 15-minute break, get a drink, get a snack. You're going to be talking to a lot more. But hey, thank you so much for coming on, being on the show today. Once again, everybody, if you want to have the fastest, safest, greatest cold wallet and have your own keys to have your own crypto, get Arculus.com, promo code IB20 to get 20% off. That means $80, guys. You get an amazing cold wallet that you can set up in 2 minutes for $80, but you got to use that code right there to get it. Adam, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll have you on again. I know you're a very busy man, but hopefully we'll have you again on soon.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Well, Tish Room. We got like 15 minutes left here. We kind of did a little bit of technical analysis, but the good news is the prices stayed exactly where we wanted them to. We can maybe do some more technical analysis if we get through, but I know there's a couple of headlines. Before we do that, let's just kind of pause. I know you didn't get to speak a lot. What are your thoughts of Dr. Adam Lowe and Arculus and some of the thoughts we had in there? I was really happy I had to ask those last couple of questions. That was some great insight there.
Oh man, he was very generous with his predictions and his weighing into a lot of the different projects that we cover daily. We're very up to date on them. I really also respected that he didn't give an opinion on Pith. I really appreciate that because he's you have to be professional, right? when you're in a position like his, you don't want to just say something's good or bad if you haven't done the research. So respect that take quite a bit. And
I loved his thoughts too, because again, you and I, not that we do zero research from the technical side, but like we're investors, right? We don't use the technology to go and do. He's literally like his world. He uses blockchain technology to do his stuff. So to hear him kind of get to talk through the technological side of it, you're like, hey, if it makes sense on the trading side, if the charts look good, and I'm hearing someone who's a genius when it comes to tech say, hey, this is really exciting because of this, and this. To me, that's a great combo of information to feel good about investing in certain projects. And that doesn't mean it's guaranteed. I want to make sure everything he talked about, just because he's a genius does not mean he gets 100% of his calls right. So don't take that as financial advice that those are the projects that are going to have the greatest bull market. But I will say he's been around since 2013. So he's been around the block for crypto for a while. He literally is a technological genius. We didn't go into details, but the reason why those cards, like the metal cards that you get when you buy an Arculus wallet, if you have a credit card that's a metal wallet, his company, he's in charge of making those. Like that is the man, and for everyone. Like, so if you have Visa, MasterCard, if you use Bank of America, if you use Citibank, he is responsible for the creation and design of those metal cards that are specialized with those chips. Well, he took that same technology, turned it into a crypto cold wallet. Yeah. So when he thinks bullishly about a project, it's hard to argue. Hard to argue with him.
Absolutely. And Faden Tradfi said, I'm going to order an Arculus today after work. Show, bros. That's super awesome. He's going to be typing in the magic code here, getarculus.com, that code being IB20. Look, guys, these make great gifts. You can educate your family and your friends on how to properly store their crypto. They make great... And Tim, the gift-giving season is upon us. This is a confluence of opportunity for you to save money on helping your family and friends pursue their financial freedom. There's never been a better time to use this promo code IB20 to save 20% off on helping your family and friends' financial future. A lot of F's in there, but it's actually an A+ idea. An A+ opportunity.
Good stuff.
Tim, you want to look
Good
at some
stuff.
charts on the way out? I'm going to be honest with you. There's not a lot of news.
Well, yeah, I will say the biggest news that I saw, and I don't know why. Well, I had it on Twitter. Give me a second. I'm going to pull it up on Twitter. Don't go to my screen just yet. But I'll go ahead and talk about it. The biggest news, and is it big news or is it just news? CZ is a flight risk according to the DOJ.
That's what I was
not
say.
allowed to leave the United States. I don't. Again, I'm literally gonna. You can go to now. It's just a picture of him and then the.
But
report.
who isn't? You know,
breaking Judge rules. Ex-Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao must remain in the U.S. until sentencing. Here's the thing, though. He probably knew this. I don't think that he's surprised by this. I think he knew when he came, he's going to have to come and deal with this whole process. Mm-hmm. I want to say here, I know I made a video last week, got some great views. I think there were some people that disagree with me. I posed the question, is he a hero? Now, was I posing the question, is he like a perfect human being? No. Was I posing the question that he's never done anything wrong? No, I wasn't saying that. But here's why I think that he is like kind of a low-key crypto hero. And maybe I didn't explain myself in that video well enough. It's because if he had chosen to continue to fight this, fight the DOJ, to fight America, what he would have done is stifled and prevented the explosive bull market that would be coming here in the next 2 years. He knew if he continued to go to war with the Department of Justice, that he was going to just stifle and hurt crypto as a whole. He decided to take one for the team, say, you know what, even though I disagree, because again, just so you guys know, while I understand the frustration and I understand some people's takes of saying, hey, it was bad that they continued to allow Russia to use their exchange, they allowed terrorist organizations to use their exchange, all I'm going to say is, do we not believe in freedom and free markets? Do we not believe in centralized entities not having their hands in our money? Do we not believe that the government should not be able, just because they don't like you, to shut down your bank account? Do we not believe that? Because I do. I believe that. And if you believe that, guess what that means? Sometimes bad people will take advantage of the situation and make some money, right? That's going to happen. That's part of it. But you're going to punish the 99% innocent, complete, fine human beings because there's 1% that's going to do something evil. Also, just going to say, there's still way more US dollars used for terrorist and illegal activity than there is cryptocurrency. I actually listened to something the other day. Who was saying it? That less than 1% of cryptocurrency in circulation is used for illicit activities versus the US dollar, 4%. 4% of US dollar transactions are used for illicit activities, and yet they're going after crypto and not the US dollar. I'm just going to leave it there. So for CZ to disagree with the charges being brought against him, believe he was innocent, but say, you know what, I'm not going to stand in the way of this bull market and innovation. I'm going to lay one down for the team. I'm going to accept this BS justice system, and I'm going to go to the United States, and I'm going to pay the $4.3 billion. To me, that's kind of low-key a crypto hero. You're allowed to disagree with me. That's just my take.
Yeah, Tim, I said that there wasn't any news. There's actually really big news. And it is behind the freaking paywall. Usually they don't have a paywall on this.
What article is it?
Well, it's just you'll be able to see if it's a little bit grayed out for some reason. So the 8% is now the NAV for the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. That is the lowest I've ever seen it. What does that tell me? So again, sorry guys that it's got this weird want me to log in. That's just ycharts.com. The important part is the number, 8%. Like you rewind a week ago and it was 15, and I don't think it's been on a constant uptrend here since about May of 2023. Yeah. And, but now it's at 8. What does that tell me? That tells me that institutional money is buying, right, GBTC. It's buying Bitcoin ETFs. And to be honest with you guys, there we go. That is what I've actually recommended a lot of folks buy because, well, we don't need to get into it. But ultimately, what does that tell me is that Bitcoin and its price movement to the upside and the SEC approving the spotty Bitcoin ETFs actually was fairly contingent on Binance's existence, really, and the fact that CZ stepped down, right, and allowed essentially the TradFi, establishment to step into his boardroom and take over, essentially, is what happened. That is a mature decision. Now he's waited quite a long time. As I brought to the attention of the 9 a.m. viewers, is that this was a long time coming. And back in 2021, CZ floated the idea of stepping down as CEO, and he could have done it back then. Maybe that would have been better, but he did it. And there was, I can't remember who the analyst was, but it was somebody like Raoul Paul, but it wasn't him. Said that with Binance and CZ as CEO of Binance, that the ETFs would not have been approved. So of course I don't know if that's true or not, but that's speculation from someone who would have known very well. And now that you're seeing the NAV on, again, guys, there's a lot that goes into trying to understand this like 100%, but the GBTC NAV, the fact that that's narrowing is extremely important. It means that real money is coming in, because it takes quite a bit of money to come in and level that gap of the NAV for GBTC of any trust. So it's quite remarkable, and that is an indicator here that ETF is going to be approved, and it might be approved in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still going to put that January date. I still think, even from hearing Gary Gensler and how he's talked about things, even though I think this is a step in the right direction, I still think we're looking at 2024 approval. There's still that outside chance in January he has another BS something. He wants to kick it to March or whatever, kind of coincide right there with the halving. That's still possible. But I think you're right. I think it is, what we're seeing is we're just getting closer and closer to those ETFs becoming approved. Mm-hmm. And here's what I'll say, guys. Remember this. If you only care about the price action of Bitcoin, all right, yeah, this is going to be a very bullish phase. You're going to make a lot of money in Bitcoin. Altcoins are going to go up as well. Here's what we need to understand. And I still think there's a route for true decentralization to still take over. But when you have BlackRock and Fidelity and JP Morgan and Bank of America and all these other, when we have these large entities investing in crypto and then holding a large portion of Bitcoin and other altcoins, that does bring a level of centralization that is negative. My belief, though, is that this is a almost needed evil to have centralized entities maybe have a little more control than they should, because just like the Trojan horse scenario, you got to get things in. I still think that the value will conquer the centralization at the end of the day, because Bitcoin is incapable of being centralized, because they can't just print it into oblivion. They can't just make new Bitcoin out of nowhere. The most cryptos, they can't just make new ones. At the end of the day, even if there's a period of time where there continues to be centralized authority controlling our finances, eventually the rules of economics will lead towards decentralization taking over and the power coming back to the people. Why did that not happen with the US dollar? Why does that not happen with traditional fiat currency? Because it's controlled by a centralized entity and the flow of it is controlled. Crypto, even if it's held by the few over the many, eventually, just because of the way money moves to create economic growth, it will distribute, it will become decentralized. And so I think that even though we're seeing centralization come back into the equation with these ETFs, it's a period of time before decentralization wins out and rules the day. That's my take, my continual hope for the future, that this is just a necessary evil we got to kind of deal with for now. But be aware of it, guys. Manipulation is going to be a thing. It will continue to be a factor that you have to deal with, and you have to be prepared for it. You have to watch the charts, and you have to watch the news and trade and invest accordingly, because they're going to still try to fake you out at every give and take they can.
Yeah. But there's more going on, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are getting upset, and rightfully so, because Bitcoin and TradFi were never designed to be compatible, and it looks like that's exactly what's happening. The TradFi is trying to swallow, absorb, integrate with what Bitcoin is, with decentralized money. Mm-hmm. In order for that to work, the governments have to also change quite a bit. And I think that we saw the beginnings of that necessary change down in Argentina last week with Javier Milei being elected president. It's only the beginning, but if he does well, and what I mean by well is if the crime rates come down, right? That's what we saw first in El Salvador, because Argentina did not get impoverished and have sky high inflation rates overnight, right? So it's not going to take a lot longer than a week for change to be felt there. But once you start seeing the crime rates going down in Argentina, you know that it's going to work, and by it's going to work. I mean, a more libertarian, a more zero cost basis approach to governance is going to work, and that's going to spread like wildfire, because the world hasn't ever known an alternative to what the American model is, which is just print, debt.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you fix everything. That's how you solve anything. Make the government bigger because the government solves the problems. Javier's coming in, and the libertarian parties all around the world are coming in with the opposite argument. Make the government smaller, lower taxes, and increase trade. Allow the free flow of trade from businesses. Stop intervening. All of that is necessary for Bitcoin and decentralized currency to also be integrated into the traditional system.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Well, let's do this. Let's wrap out the show, T-shirt. Let's wrap it out with some charts. We didn't do a whole lot of them, but Bitcoin, guys, coming back down towards support level. Not going to be surprised to see us go even a little bit lower here. Look at our liquidations. We do have a decent amount of liquidity at 36.6. We don't have to go all the way down that far, guys. But don't be surprised if we see a dip of Bitcoin all the way down to 36.6. Look at, though, above us here, 37.4, and even all the way up, back up above 38. Still seeing some high liquidity. Guys, in my personal opinion, I do not think this rally is over. I think we're just down towards support. And then guess what? 36.6 coming in somewhere right in here, right there below that white line. This white line, this solid white line, has worked as very strong support, but we have had two fake outs that kind of work like bear traps. I'm sure a lot of people saw us lose these lines and thought, here we go, we're going down. And they entered short positions only to get a short squeeze, an explosive move back up to new highs. That's happened twice now before. So keep your eyes fixed on that. Like we said, there's a lot of other things in the news right now that is bullish, but the real problem is there's no catalyst for bearishness. There's no one wanting to sell right now. The fact that we aren't just dropping like crazy, the fact that every time we get back to support level, we're hesitating and moving slowly, to me, continues to show higher highs, higher lows, bull trend. Price still has a good chance of going to the upside. Keep your eyes on the headlines, though. If something breaks, again, in my mind, my prediction at this point, I think there's going to be something about stablecoins that there's FUD. I'm not saying stablecoins will be shut down. I'm not saying they'll be banned. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying they'll have massive depegging. I think that there's some just ridiculously stupid people in the U.S. government that will say something and pass or want to pass some sort of bill or propose some sort of bill to really ban stablecoins and not allow them to be there because they're so evil and they're full of corruption. That, I think, could be the catalyst, along with, the fact that we'll see people want to finally take profit moves down. That's, to me, what's going to bring a big dip. Haven't seen it happen. So for those reasons, I'm still bullish for right now. Again, you might be wanting, if you're looking for short trades, you might want to look at the current area we are, but maybe you want to be a little more patient. Wait for that 36.6. That's definitely still within the equation. A Cardano coming down, hitting our support level, also hitting my prediction I made earlier today. If you guys are in our Discord, I think for our paid members, I put this over there for you guys. I also might have put this on Twitter, so I can't remember which one I posted. I posted a couple charts today on different locations, but 37.2 was my interesting spot for Cardano. We have hit it. And we're also corresponding right there with our rising level of support of our ascending triangle. So would not be surprised to see it boost and move to the upside. Link's doing the exact same thing. You're also going to see, I didn't pull this up for all of them, Chart Prime, which of course you guys know we love Chart Prime. You also can get that with the link in the description down below. Great discounts. They just had, I don't know, is today the last day of the lifetime sale?
It's the last day. No, I don't think it's the last day of the lifetime sale. It's the last day for a promotion they had.
I think it is, though. I think it's the last. I think after today they're not going to. They'll open it eventually, but who knows when they'll open the lifetime deal again. If you guys love Chart Prime, you can use our link, support us, but also I'd recommend it to you. Like, hey, still go through our link, still use. It supports the channel, but if you want to get that lifetime deal with Chart Prime, it'd be a great time to grab that up. But here on the 4-hour chart, you guys see overbought flashing here. Oscillators are super low. I think the same way for Cardano. Yep. I think Bitcoin's kind of flashing the same way. Yeah, even a green reversal coming in there. So we're seeing a lot of bullishness now as we start to hit support on a lot of the altcoins out there. XRP kind of hovering right there around the 0.5 level or 0.382 level of Fibonacci. So seeing a lot of support here coming in here. We'll have a video tomorrow morning like I normally do. I don't know what I'm going to talk about just yet. You guys seem to like talking about altcoins. So make sure to leave a comment down below. What do you want Tim to talk about in the morning upload? T-Show will be live tomorrow morning at 9 covering all the fresh news. Tomorrow we will have our silver members only live stream at 3 p.m. So make sure you either, if you're a silver member, go ahead and be there. If you're not a silver member, but you want to get the bros on Tuesdays and Thursdays, hit that join button right next to you guys there on YouTube. You guys can click and sign up and support the Investing Bros as we continue to grow and bring you guys the best content that we possibly can. Be a part of the team, get some cool behind the scenes stuff, and help support the bros. Guys, with that said, it's 4:01. It's time for us to wrap it out. Hopefully you guys loved this episode. Smash that like button and hit subscribe, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.